The Silent Cell. The story takes place in an old, abandoned prison on Brazos Island, a remote island off the coast. The island is sparsely populated, and almost everything there is left in ruins. The prison's name is forgotten, but according to old records, it was known for its horrific crimes and brutal practices. Ethan, a young journalist, decides to visit the island to write a story about the infamous prison. He wasn't a famous writer, just an ordinary researcher, but something about the eerie pull of this abandoned place intrigued him. When he first arrived at the prison, the air was heavy and oppressive. The walls were cracked, and there was an unsettling silence. At first, everything seemed normal. The weather was calm, peaceful even. However, as he ventured deeper into the prison, something unusual began to happen. When he stepped into one of the oldest cells, he felt time freeze for a moment. A strange emptiness filled his mind, and he began hearing faint whispers coming from the walls. The sound grew louder as he moved further into the cell, replaced by low murmurs, as if someone was speaking in hushed tones right behind him. Ethan steeled himself and moved closer to the cell. Inside, it was pitch black except for a small window, through which the faintest light filtered in, casting long shadows across the room. He had the distinct feeling that someone, or something, was watching him. The closer he got, the more he heard whispers, sometimes muffled screams, and at other times, quiet sobs. These voices seemed to be echoes of an event that had happened long ago, trapped within the prison's walls. Suddenly, a shadow appeared. Ethan stepped back in fear, and the shadow stepped back too. They stood there for a while, locked in a strange standoff. When Ethan finally moved forward, the shadow slowly faded into the wall. His breath quickened and his eyes widened. As he tried to make sense of what had just happened, he noticed something odd on the wall, a series of cryptic symbols etched into the stone. They seemed ancient, mysterious, and Ethan felt an unsettling compulsion to decipher them. Before he could continue examining the strange markings, the prison's warden, Warden Salazar, appeared at the entrance of the cell. His face was pale, eyes hard with fear. "Never enter this cell," he warned. "Everything here is part of a curse. No one who has entered has ever left unscathed," Salazar continued. "Years ago, a prisoner named Thomas Black was brought here. He had a strange ability to manipulate the spirits of the other prisoners. He placed a curse on every cell, trapping their souls within the walls of this prison. No one really knows what happened, but every whisper, every sound you hear is the remnants of those lost souls." Ethan, now more frightened than ever, watched as Salazar's eyes filled with sorrow. "The curse still lingers," Salazar said in a trembling voice. "If you've entered that cell, your soul is bound to it. You can never leave." Ethan tried to leave the prison, but the further he went, the harder it became to escape. The door behind him slammed shut, and the whispers grew louder, echoing from every corner of the prison. The walls seemed to close in on him, and it felt as though an invisible force was pulling him back toward the cursed cell. Finally, as he reached the exit, he saw one last thing, a name carved into the door, Thomas Black. You can support us by subscribing to our channel for more stories like this.